Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy Show. Here we are at the Boca Resort. It's just absolute. Look outside today. Now that's what we call a Chamber of Commerce day, Govy. Look at this.
It is.
It is absolutely so beautiful. We're doing our show here at the Boca Resort, and it's been a week or so since we've done a show. We've been scrambling around. In fact, today I was at the Whole Foods, okay? I'm there in the steak aisle. The guy in front of me, and I'm racing to get here, and the Whole Foods opens like at 8, so I'm in the parking lot waiting. The guy at the steak aisle to get the steaks made the guy take each steak out, weigh it, and tell him the price of the steak before he decided on what steak he wanted. You know, this steak is $14.14. It's no good. Find me a steak in the $13 price range. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. I was willing to pay the difference for the guy. But anyway, we're at this gorgeous lounge in the Boca Resort.
The weather is absolutely unbelievable. 78 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, no humidity. It's been like this for the last 10 days. It looks like this for the next week or so. And it was like this in Naples. I was in Naples. I just came back from.
The tan, Govy, you're a sex symbol.
But
But it's interesting. This Boca Resort has several components, but one component is the beach, and then we're over at the other side of the Intercoastal, which is the hotel. And the beach, they're going through a massive 2-year renovation. So this hotel is overwhelmed with people now because it's taking twice the load. So we're lucky. We're doing the show early. And then we're going to go watch the Masters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Masters is a great place to start. I mean, I don't know. It's 2024. We're at April 13th today. And Tiger Woods, with all his ailments, is ready to go. He made it through the blistery Thursday and Friday.
Broke a record, 24 made cuts, which is the most ever.
24 made cuts. He's +1. Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world, is -6. So Tiger, and today the conditions are perfect. So if Tiger has a great day today, it could be maybe -3, -4. And if everybody else, you know, starts to choke a little.
I would like to see Bryson DeChambeau win. That's my guy.
I like Bryson. He hits it so far.
Yeah, I mean, he had to move the sign the other day.
I saw that.
I mean, that's just great.
And him and John Rahm, their interviews are just unbelievable. They're just so humble. Scotty Scheffler, these guys, I guess they're, you know, in this country club environment, they're a little more sophisticated than the average, let's say, basketball player or NFL player. And the way they give the interviews, they're so gracious and kind and thank the fans.
Except Scotty Scheffler, as great as he is, and he won the Masters last year, and he's #1 in the world, I don't know, there's something about that, his PR guy, like people just still don't know him. Like Jordan Spieth doesn't have the easiest name to remember, but he became on fire for those like 2 years that he had, or McIlroy has a name. But somehow or other, Scotty Scheffler still gets left. Like people, if they say Scotty Scheffler, they don't even remember that he's #1 in the world.
I think that's the way he wants it. That's how he's conducting his life. He wants to be under the radar screen. He grew that long beard. You don't even recognize him with a hat. You know, Scotty Scheffler's wife is due any minute.
I know.
Like, so can you imagine if the guy walks off the 18th green today and he's leading by 2, Masters.
He said he would do that. He would leave the Masters now.
Biggest tournament in the world,
Now,
he'd leave.
saying it beforehand and leading the tournament, I just don't see that happening.
Well, I don't know enough about medicine. Can you put that birth on hold for a day? I mean, can they slow it down?
I'm going to speak for myself. If my wife was giving birth to my child,
Their first child,
my first child, and I was leading the Masters,
and this is your career,
I would take the videos, do everything you have to do, but I would make sure that my kid knows that this green jacket that's hanging in the room, she sacrificed me maybe not being there that day, but I would definitely be trying to finish off the Masters and I have the rest of my life to be with my child to make it up to her.
All right, Scotty, this is our recommendation. If that happens and you stay, the child's name is Augusta or Master.
Right, and she'll never, or he'll never know that you weren't there.
Right, but your wife will. But hopefully her mother is
But
there
she will
to
also
coach
know
her.
that you maybe come home with the trophy, $2 million. And what did they say winning the Masters is worth?
It's $25 million in endorsements.
Okay, so take $10 million and put it into a college fund for your daughter, and she'll always will remember that you did that for her.
Do they know it's a daughter
Or
or
a
is it
son?
But Master works for both a girl
I don't know
and
why. I don't know why I think that he's producing a girl. He just looks like he has daughter written all over him. And I come from two daughters. So I don't mean that in any disrespect, but he just looks like he's going to have a daughter.
So anyway,
Another thing we could talk about, though, that you were right.
Well, real fast.
Okay.
A lot of major guys, so you have to understand the components of golf now. You have the LIV, the competing tour, but everybody gets to play in the Masters. So you have LIV players and you have PGA players, and it's really so much better golf.
It is when they're all together.
They're all together. It's the greatest players in the world, and now, it's a storyline where you have some of the great golfers, Jordan Spieth. Some of them didn't make the cut.
Dustin Johnson did not make
Johnson didn't make the cut.
Koepka, I don't know if he made the cut. I don't think he did.
He didn't?
I don't think he did.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And whatchamacallit, Justin Thomas didn't make the cut. So I mean, you got a lot of players that did not make it, and then you have a couple amateurs that are like
great.
How about the one that's 6'8"?
So let me ask you this question: you're an amateur. You win the Masters. You get $3.5 million if you declare yourself a pro right there on the spot. You get the paycheck. If you want to stay an amateur, you don't get the paycheck.
Wait, if you enter the tournament as an amateur,
yes,
you can then change afterwards and get the money?
I think you can.
If you can do that, then you're crazy to
not take the $3.5 million.
I would not take the $3.5 million because it's a $20 million endorsement and all
Right.
the other stuff. And your exemptions. I mean, it's just, you're set for the Masters for the rest of your life, plus you're into the British Open and all the other tournaments. And so it's a really, it's a pretty interesting thing. And also one of the side stories is in Augusta, they're trying to build another 18 holes there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So they're building up all around Augusta. And there is one lady, she's 95 years old, and she is not selling her house. And they need her house. So right now they use across the street, they surrounded her house with a parking lot. So that's where everybody parks their car. But they really would like to, and she said that she's not moving, and they offered the entire neighborhood, which is, if you know, outside of Augusta, the gates, it's not the nicest of areas. So they were able to buy a lot, and they made instant millionaires out of every single homeowner.
Should have bought some real estate.
Yeah,
there,
did unbelievable, but she doesn't want to sell, so she's sitting there. But one subject I would like to transition into, and that is my guy Cuddy over here predicted a month ago.
I did.
How Curb Your Enthusiasm was going to end. Now,
Wait, I don't know. Are we allowed to say how it ended? Because our 300,000 listeners may not have seen the last show.
well, we're not going to have to say the whole ending, but let's just say you were spot on for 99% of it. But that 1% is something that is that you got to watch it to see it, because it was a great ending.
My prediction as a general theme was it's going to end with Larry David being in a trial, just like Seinfeld's last episode was a trial where all the people from the 12 or 15 years come in and testify against the Seinfeld people. In this episode, it ends in a trial. The people come in and testify against Larry. We're not going to tell you how it ends, but we're going to give you the lead up.
But you get to see the characters from all the years back.
It was
You get to see the hooker with the tube top that was like that he needed to pick her up to get into the carpool lane so he could go to a Dodgers game.
Such funny stuff.
It could be Mary, where it was in the outside where then he ate the cookies. Remember, like he had the cookies.
Or he took the flowers from Funkhauser's mother's grave because he needed flowers.
Wasn't it the golf club too?
Yeah, he took the golf club out of the guy's coffin because the guy was dying with his golf club in his hand. But you know what? You watch it and you realize why everybody hated Larry. You know, he was an asshole through and through on the show, but that was the magic of the show.
Right. It was.
But I think, look, you know, in retrospect, I would have loved to have written some extra things into the show, you know, where maybe Leon had sex with Susie or something like that, or it would have been fun to add some things.
Yeah. That was something. But we also have we have some winners and losers. One of the winners, we got to say, this is for Little Cutty back in New York.
Cutty Jr.
Cutty Jr., which is South Carolina.
Are you going to apologize?
No, the South Carolina won. You got to take your hat off to Dawn Staley. She's from Philadelphia.
Right.
And by the way, she was Temple's head coach. They didn't even know they had a Hall of Fame superstar coach, and they let her go in the whole program.
She's angry, though.
Yeah, she's angry, but she... But anyway, she let a little politics get involved.
Yeah, let's talk her politics a little. I mean, you know,
They asked her if transgender girls would be okay if they played in college basketball, and she has absolutely no problem with it. But that being said, that's because she has almost like a man that plays center for South Carolina. If she didn't have the center that was so dominating, she probably wouldn't think that way. Or it hasn't affected them. But they had some commentators on that I happen to have agreed with, some NBA players, and they were basically saying, you know, until it affects you, you could take every stance you want. You could have that Megan Rapone, the soccer player, and you could have even some tennis players. But until it affects you, and you go up against a tennis player that became a man, and you start losing to her in the finals of a major, then all of a sudden it affects you. So,
but I don't even know why these coaches or these people that aren't in politics even express an opinion. Stay away from it. I mean, I like Dawn Stanley. Now I don't like her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If she didn't say anything, I wouldn't.
Right. I agree. And by the way,
she's not running for office. Why give an opinion?
And how would her life have changed if she went up against a transgender guy in the Olympics, and and the Americans would have lost in the Olympics to a 7-foot man that's in the center? All of a sudden, it would be unfair, and that would change history.
I mean, the components of a locker room. How do you have somebody in a locker room? I mean, it's just such a complicated, tough subject. Why, if you're not running for political office, why are you even interjecting yourself into it? Your kids could hate you. You know, your ball players could dislike you for that.
The other thing the one thing that came out of college women's basketball was Caitlin Clark. She basically put the program of college basketball on the map. It was the highest rated final, including the NBA Finals, World Series
Super Bowl.
games. Yeah, it
14 million and 18 million.
Yeah, it's incredible, and she has a great career ahead of her, and she has options. Like, you know, this big three thing and other stuff.
So, Govy, can she play NBA ball?
No.
She's not that. She can't play with the guys?
And it's interesting, you know, they go back, and it brings me to Serena Williams. And John McEnroe was asked years ago how Serena Williams would do against him. And he took a lot of heat because he basically said, you can't even compare it. It would be unfair. So
would Serena Williams even rank in the world? Or if she played men's?
Serena Williams.
She's big.
Serena Williams would lose to really good, really great high school tennis players. Would destroy her. High school tennis players.
That's
college
crazy.
players would beat her 6-0, 6-0. Maybe she might get a game off of them. But and she got up there and she actually agreed with that. She agreed with it. She just said it's a separate game. She was explaining, you're asking her to play a game that she can't play. Just like in other sports, you can't expect a guy that is 6'8", 270 pounds not to be unstoppable in women's basketball. By the way, if you took a lacrosse player, you go up and get a guy lacrosse player, and you put him into a women's lacrosse, he would score 15 goals a game, and they would be the champions. So that we have to put to rest. We could talk about.
Do you want to talk about Ohtani? What a great subject.
Well, we mentioned him a couple of weeks ago, and
it's getting worse.
It's a little bizarre. It's bizarre because there's so much that's not going to come out.
Let's give a little foundation. Ohtani's the great two-sided pitcher hitter. Signed a $700 million.
Japanese player
signed a $700 million contract.
But with being a $700 million contract it's so much money that he decided that he makes roughly about, I think, 50, 60 million a year in endorsements. So he decided that he doesn't even want the 700 million, his salary, to be paid to him right now. He wants it all deferred. So he wants it at the end of 10 years, his salary. So with that being said, like, sometimes he's not really on top of all his finances, but his interpreter stole $16 million from him, and he had no idea it was even missing.
So
which I don't believe.
He has an interpreter for everything. If
it's his best friend.
Yeah, but if the manager has to go to the mound, the interpreter goes out to the pitching mound and tells Ohtani what the coach wants.
Right.
Everything in his life, he has this interpreter with him. It's just not an interpreter. It's like his shadow.
If he needs to order a steak well done at a restaurant, his interpreter is the one who actually does all the ordering and everything for him. But that being, like, after all that, $16 million.
That's what they think.
That's what they think. It could be up to $40 million, and he is saying that he had no idea. My guess is that it was Ohtani that was doing the gambling, and this guy's taking the fall. And where you can see how they didn't give it a lot of thought, this guy is trying to make a plea deal. And his plea deal is he wants to do no jail time. I mean, he's Japanese. He thinks he can just go back to Japan and say, oops, sorry. But this is grand larceny. This is going to jail for 40 years.
Well, if he had access to that kind of money, Govy, do you think he stole money for himself, like buy a Ferrari or something from Ohtani? Or did he just steal money to place bets? I mean, I say stole money, everything.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question. How can
he might have stolen money for one of these fabulous watches.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand. Like, you're gambling, you're making $230,000 a year. Why wouldn't you be stealing, I don't know, $500,000 a year, put it into your own account, and then after, you walk away with like $10 million, and you can start buying things. But it kind of is bizarre that he's making like he didn't take anything for himself.
So your prediction is it's Ohtani that's gambling, and this guy's just placing the bets.
They're gambling together. They're gambling together, and Ohtani is so big, so much bigger than Pete Rose at the end of his career. Don't forget, Pete Rose's biggest problem happened after he already finished his playing career, when he was a manager, when it was starting to happen. Ohtani's so big, I don't think Major League Baseball has the guts to actually say you're suspended for a year, 2 years, or longer. And he should be. He should be, because it's under his watch. I don't think blaming somebody is a good enough excuse. It came out of it was wired out of his account.
It's crazy. Anyway, P.S. Stay tuned. We're going to find out real fast what happened.
So I have some other winners. One of the winners is illegal immigrants from Venezuela. They can now do anything in this country they want. I mean, it is bizarre how you could punch a police officer, you could do anything, and we could deport you 3 times and you keep coming back. It's they got to get a handle on this whole thing with the squatting and the people coming into this country.
Well, Uncle Joe says he's going to do a executive order, finally, changing this.
But he said that he didn't have the power. Now all of a sudden he has the power.
He didn't have it. Now he has it.
I mean,
he didn't have it, but now he can get it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's Venezuelans are winners. Some other winners, Naples, Florida. Unbelievable. If you get a chance to go to Naples, Florida, go there. It's so peaceful. It's so peaceful that you really get to see how their life is run different than the rest of the country. For instance, they have a supermarket there called Seed to Table. It's a supermarket that's also a nightclub. It has everything. The owner owns a farm down the street in Immokalee. So he has.
Oh, I get it. Seed to table.
Seed to Table.
Because he has a farm.
He owns a farm, and they bring in fresh produce every 2 hours. And he also has boats that bring in fish and the meat, and you can go in there, and they have restaurants in there, so you could buy.
How big is it? Like a Whole Foods size?
I would say
a Wegman size.
Yeah, it's like a Wegman size, but it has upstairs, downstairs, where it's a nightclub. It's you can have bars, you can drink as you shop. It has if you want fresh pasta. It has a bakery section, bakery. It has your seafood sections, your meat sections, whatever you want there. But they don't have to worry about crime. So there is no shoplifting. There's nothing behind plexiglass. It's like you walk in there. If someone said that you could walk into society where you didn't have to worry about crime or people homelessness, you just walk in there and it's like everybody's friendly. You don't see any fruit on the ground.
I gotta go. Is it a one-off store? There's only one?
It's only one. And I do have to mention that he is a Republican and a Trumper, and outside the store they have these concessions where everybody's in line selling Trump and DeSantis stuff, and so I don't know if that would work. I don't know if people would even enter the store on the east side of Florida, but on the west side, it's just there's nothing like it in the world, in the United States.
So since you just talked about Trump, is he a winner or a loser? Next week is his Stormy Daniels hush money trial.
He's a winner. He's a winner because the guy is getting press for nothing. They constantly, he's not paying anything. Plus he did have a fundraiser and got $50 million.
Well, 20 of that was from you.
$50 million. He had a fundraiser, and then he went to Georgia and had a fundraiser. And just so you know this whole thing with Fannie Willis and everything in Georgia, he stopped in at a Chick-fil-A. And they African Americans absolutely loved him. And it was real. He went in there. They wanted to take pictures of him. Yet Joe Biden does a commercial. He sits down with a family, with an African American. And he's bringing in a fast food Chick-fil-A meal, and he's starting to talk about to the kids. So what are you doing? It was so uncomfortable watching the ad. It was so uncomfortable that he's trying to be something he's not. You had the Japanese Prime Minister here, and you got Joe Biden wearing his aviator sunglasses, and the other guy's not wearing them. And then you get to see the reflection in Joe's glasses of him reading the notes. I mean, he knows every question that's coming to.
Well,
what a loser!
It's really bizarre when you think of Joe's cognitive condition, what he's going to be like in 4 years. Right now, we have Israel and Iran. The world's about to burn up, and this guy is the guy that has to set the tone for the world so it doesn't burn up. How's he going to do it? Okay, let's say he can pull it off now. How's he going to do it in 4 years? When you look at his debate against Trump 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, versus the human being he is today, there's nobody in any side of the ledger that can look at that person and say he hasn't declined dramatically.
The world has declined dramatically since then. So if you go back 3 years ago, there was no war between Israel and Hamas. Ukraine and Russia were not at war. Iran and the United States, we had sanctions on Iran that they were really hemorrhaging. Right now, Iran is making so much money with oil. The barrel's almost $100 a barrel. They're cleaning up right now.
And if there's a war, it goes up more.
Yeah, and 4 years ago, we had oil reserves that were filled to the hilt. We have no oil reserves right now. So Joe Biden, to show you how powerful the media is, Joe Biden is, the media isn't even really mentioning how close we are to a World War III. Like, you really don't feel it. You don't feel what Iran and everything else can do.
Would you go to Israel right now?
I think they told you you're not even allowed to travel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem right now because of imminent strike that Iran's going to do. I can tell you one thing, that if Iran strikes the homeland of Israel, Israel will strike Iran, their homeland, and I believe that the United States and Israel has already discussed it, and they want Israel, and we've talked about this almost a year ago. Israel's going to be the one that takes out Iran and their nuclear capabilities right now.
Because it's 5 months away.
Right, and
I
think Israel is going to take it off from within. They already said Israel has their troops basically in Iran. They're ready to strike in Iran right now. And now we just got to sit there and say how many people crossed our border that they're ready to strike us. That is the hidden factor of if they want to attack us, it's going to be from within. And we don't know how many people are here.
That would be terrible.
So
I would rather not be able to say, Joe, we told you so. We don't need a strike here in America. That would just be awful.
And by the way, in a month and a half, we have Hunter Biden's trial coming up. He has 2 trials coming up, June 3rd and June 20th. He's trying to get out of these things, and he's thinking.
And poor Peter Navarro's in jail
for the same thing. For the same thing.
Guy is in jail.
Wait a second, and the other guy, Weisselberg, he's in jail.
Rikers Island.
80 years old. Rikers Island.
They sent him to Rikers Island.
Yeah, so they're sitting
for lying to a judge.
Right. Here's the same thing. So it's like. By the way, when you listen to Ray and we try to, they're trying to get the FISA thing passed, which they will. The trust that we have now for the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Justice is at an all-time low. No one believes them. No one believes our media anymore. We have a government-funded media, NPR, that just had an editor that came out that was there for 20 years, told you there are 86 Democrats that work for that news organization, 0 Republicans, 0.
That's a big number.
0. And they're not getting any money. They're getting all their money from the government. So it's like it doesn't make a difference what their bottom line is.
It's so terrible. But anyway, let's talk about something fun. Politics is.
We could talk
how
about
these watches.
We could talk about the watches, but first I want to say that the New York Knicks overachieving. It's always unbelievable to see overachieving.
Wes Wesley.
Wes Wesley, Leon Rose, unbelievable job you're doing. Signing Jalen Brunson, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, unbelievable. So, but now we can get back to, we have a dilemma. Do I get the Batman watch? It's the Rolex Batman watch with the Oyster bracelet, which looks great. Or do you go with the Batman watch with the Jubilee bracelet? I mean,
now these watches, Govy obviously in the watch business,
but
these are impossible to get. It's almost like a drug deal to buy one of these watches. Like way back in college, how whatever it was. These things are impossible to get, these Rolexes. Govy has 2 to pick from.
It's my first watch I'm buying myself in 15 years because I don't want to take anything for myself. So I just want you to know it's 15 years since I got myself a watch. But yes, they are hard to come by.
Look how much fun that watch is. It's called the Batman watch.
It's the Batman watch, but watches right now are really popular that if you can go from the beach to dinner. And that is where they're becoming really hot because you can wear this actually to the beach, to the pool, and then go out to dinner with it without changing
like
it.
this over here on this side, will this scratch though from like
it can
going on
you can
the
buff
counter?
it. You can buff it out.
You can buff it out.
So it's
that would be my head. Does that have the same kind of clip on the bottom?
Yeah, same type of clip. So
yeah.
It's
what a gorgeous watch.
Yeah. So I'm going with the Oyster. But a lot of people, most people a lot of people like the Jubilee.
Well, when my first paycheck comes in from the CuttyandGovy show, throw the order in for me.
Yeah. We can put it in now. There'll be that waiting list, that waiting list that everybody keeps talking about. But I got another winner here, just to let you know, to let everybody know how he's doing. So now he's in 2.5 weeks in, Tito, that can now see. So his whole life has changed because he went from being blind to now being able to see. And it's amazing to see him go out there and play and see other dogs and everything.
His face hair grew in.
Yeah, so Tito's doing great. He's
Tito
the biggest
looks great.
winner of them all because he's just enjoying himself here. And now all he wants to know is if he can go for a little walk and get a dog treat because they have unbelievable dog treats in this
And
place.
Tito's such a well-behaved dog.
Yeah, he doesn't bark. You wouldn't even know he was under the table the whole time.
Unbelievable. Well, folks, this was a great show at the Boca Resort.
It is. So now all we have to do is we have to keep Jews in our thought right now because it's a very scary time for them in Israel, and it's also a scary time for Jews in the United States right now because you got 28,000 roughly people in Dearborn, Michigan, who are Palestinians, and they are hijacking our entire United States, thinking that we're on the wrong side. Instead of being with Israel, that we should be with a regime that would kill anybody that's gay, no public, no free press, no free
I hope
speech.
they get voted out.
And it's unbelievable how we could just be on the wrong side. But they have Biden so worried. They actually have Joe Biden not worrying about the destruction of a country and an ally in Israel. It's more important for him to get the 28,000 votes so he can win Michigan in a swing state in an election than it is for the survival of Israel. So I do agree with Donald Trump, where if you're Jewish, I don't understand how you could be voting for Joe Biden. I just don't understand that. Chuck Schumer only cares about Chuck Schumer and his own personal life. It's disgusting.
Disgusting. Anyway, Gabby, what a great show. So much fun. We're here with this weather. It's insane.
We smell the roses. We appreciate where we're at.
I'm going to take the camera before we sign off and pan around the room so everybody can see this room. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is a bar. Say goodbye to Gabby.
Everybody, we'll see you next week.
Look at this bar. Look how beautiful this is. And it's a big canopy ceiling. All right, folks. We're on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're all over the place. All right, Gabby, you have a great week. You gotta sit in the sun today, get the tan back.
Yeah, I'll try to do that.
All right, pal.
See you guys.
Take care.